welcome back to the Noise Footer podcast. This week we have Vlad Neko. Hello, Vlad. How you doing? You all right?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very well, very well. Yeah, good to have you back. Last time we talked about some of your stuff on your channel. Could you just give the ladies and gentlemen a little breakdown of what you do, just in case they don't know?
Well, I run a couple of YouTube channels, primarily nerfing YouTube channels. I modify Nerf guns for cosmetics and for performance, and I go and compete in wars with them. Just recently, I was in the great city of Cincinnati and played in an old warehouse that had been converted into an airsoft arena. And whew, that was quite the war. But I got stories about that later.
Yeah, that looked excellent. I really enjoyed that video. It was... oh, one second, let me just quickly do this. Yeah, that was great. I really enjoyed that video. I like the sort of POV. It's quite interesting way to shoot a video, actually.
It definitely gives it the look of like Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah.
If Modern Warfare 3 was in, 1080p and not, whatever 4K resolution is being used now.
Yeah.
Things that you don't realize when you are the point of view, you don't realize how much you squat and how much you're holding just these ridiculously long and obscene angles of squat. It wasn't until a buddy of mine posted video from that same war where he was my partner and he came running up behind me as I'm behind cover, and I realized I'm squatting for a solid 3 minutes waiting for a shot on this guy. No wonder my legs hurt so freaking bad the next day.
As I was sat watching that, I couldn't help but feel that same thing that you were describing about that kind of like Modern Warfare. I can't wait till and I don't know how it would happen. I suspect I don't know, but like the idea of like somehow virtual reality, like getting involved in that headspace, that'd be amazing. Like controlling maybe some, I don't know. I just can't imagine it, but.
I can't wait for augmented reality to kind of take over a little bit more. Imagine you're in a field, right? And you're playing with your buddies. You've got like a little backpack on and a visor that allows you to actually see your environment, but it also projects your buddies in there too.
Yeah.
And say you're playing you want to play a Dungeons and Dragons type game. It'll project orcs and dragons and whatnot for you. It'll project the tavern. So you guys can play in this one field, but you're all across the world and everybody's seeing the same thing. They're seeing each other. Now you just extrapolate that to, well, what if we wanted to play a Modern Warfare type game? Well, all right, everybody picks these couple of Nerf blasters, or maybe you don't even need the Nerf blaster. You just need a stick, and then the augmented reality takes over.
Yeah.
And boom, you've got yourself a full-fledged, very in-depth game without having to actually be with your friends.
Yeah.
The future is scary and
excellent,
awe-inspiring. I can't wait.
I'm because we've already reached the iPhone X has got like augmented reality, and that's like in a phone. So it's not that hard to imagine the kind of the next technological leap forwards. Enabling people to kind of do something like that. It'd be it's gonna be a pretty exciting time.
It's gonna be. I mean, I've just been playing some what's the game? Super Hot in PSVR that my buddy has.
Yeah.
And man, that is like wizard magic to me right now.
Yeah.
I can't wait until. I mean, on my shopping list eventually is an Oculus Rift because I certainly want to build like a sim pit for flying airplanes. That's just. It's something I don't have the money to do.
Yeah.
There's no sense in getting a pilot's license unless you're going to be a commercial pilot.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much money. But like flying in a VR cockpit is fine by me. I'd rather do that so I can also do combat. So
you can get these like sort of motor controlled chairs that will like do all of the
I've seen those. I'm actually going to build my own. A buddy of mine works at a thrill park, and every once in a while they have to throw out seats from their roller coasters. So most of them aren't too bad. He's going to grab one for me out of the dumpster, and it's going to be form fitted like a jet fighter seat. And I'm just going to build the joystick into there, the foot pedals, and I'm gonna have the whole like it tilts me thing
Wow.
going on. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
That's awesome. The bit that I particularly like is that the whole screen is in front of you, and the whole thing just it's like going to like the I remember as a kid there's a place called Flambards, which is the shittest theme park it's the closest one we've got, and it was like they'd have these like virtual reality rides that you would just sit in, and it
Oh
would just,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like
It
that,
would
isn't
just
it?
kind of tilt the. It was like a row of like 8 chairs by 4 chairs or something. It would just tilt. Yeah, I did one of those at the Dayton Air Force Museum
Yeah,
when they've got like all through history how planes have evolved, and they have one where you're in an F-16 and you're doing a training exercise flying through a canyon.
yeah.
And I don't know how they managed to trick you into thinking that you are experiencing like 8, 9 Gs, but man, people were passing out on it. It was kind of fantastic.
We did a gig. The band I play in, we did a gig up at the Science Museum, which is in London, and they got one of these that exact type of thing, but it's like a plane sim. But it was going like it would go upside down, and it was like amazing. It just goes to show that you can kind of trick the body and mind actually quite easily. We're quite easily tricked, and that kind of really excites me for the world of VR. The reason I haven't got a VR headset is because I think it's going to be like something that will improve a lot, and I think that they'll get. I'm notorious for travel sickness, and I know that is whatever. If unless it's like perfect, it's going to make me ill. I get sick playing some computer games. I get sick playing like Alien. There's like a game on Steam like Alien something, and it just because it runs at I think it runs at like 30 frames per second. It just makes me slowly queasy over time, and
It's just out of sync enough for it to bother you.
yeah, it just trips me up. And like I used to play Portal 2, and it used to do exactly the same thing. It would just eventually diving through holes just eventually would just make me this really queasy kind of yeah. But so eventually I reckon technology will be there, we'll get there, and it'll be pretty exciting. Is there any technological advancements coming on the horizon that is going to change or influence what you do? Is there anything that would be that you're excited about coming up, or is it kind of not so much?
Well, I think as things like RFID chips get smaller, as computers get smaller, as LEDs get smaller, it's going to make my job a little bit easier. I'll be able to do cooler things. When I no longer have to worry about how large an LED is to fit in a spot to make one part of my blaster glow,
Yeah,
then that's when LEDs just become a thing that I do, not a thing that I have to think about how I'm going to do.
yeah,
Um, RFID chips, I'm pretty sure that with enough understanding of Raspberry Pis and Arduinos and everything, I could make it so that I have an effective ammo counter by just sticking a chip on the follower for a Nerf magazine, and then just as it gets closer and closer, the reader will just say, "Oh, well, you've only got 6 left, 2 left, 1 left. You are out." I'm looking forward to that.
I like the Raspberry Pi. I built a Raspberry Pi little games player, and loaded it all up with like just a load of stuff, and it's excellent. It's a really cool little device.
A buddy of mine's got a retro Pi that's the thing is the case for it is just Legos. Like
Oh, excellent.
it's a Lego brick. So about once every other weekend, his daughter will make a new like console, as it were, for his retro Pi. It's really kind of fun.
Yeah.
One time it looked just like the Death Star, the firing control room. The next week it was some princess mansion. It was pretty great. Just dominates his entertainment system.
They're great. They're very cool. They're very cool. It kind of like it's quite exciting to think that we've got like a computer that's like my first actual computer, my first desktop was half as powerful as a Raspberry Pi is now. That's in my head. That is mental.
Yeah.
That it feels mental. I can like you can get like memory cards on your phone that hold more than like about 20 times more than my first ever hard drive could hold, and it's insane, isn't it? We are lurching forwards into the future of and it's quite hard to like kind of know, I suspect, what ways everything will change. But I really like these. I really like a lot of the kind of like these. Like I've just got the Philips Hue bulbs and the Nanoleaf
Hmm.
thing, and I just love the idea of like these home automated systems that were never possible. Technology's moved forward in a way which is just enabled these like cheap, tiny, massively programmable systems, which is it's very exciting. So we've had a little talk about offline about you do YouTube videos, and the terms of services have just changed. What does that mean for what you're doing? And is this a terrible thing that they've just done? Why have they done it? What's behind all
So
this?
the a little while ago, I want to say April of last year, they changed the YouTube Partnership Program, YPP, changed so that a channel could no longer be monetized unless it had 10,000 lifetime views on the channel.
Yeah.
Now, I blew past that. By the time they had that in place, I was sitting at something like 150,000 lifetime views. Now they changed it just yesterday. I got the email at like 11:30 at night where you need 1,000 subscribers. I'm well above that, and 4,000 hours of 4,000 hours of your content watched in the last 12 months, and that's where I fell short.
Yeah.
It basically means that you need to have 240,000 minutes of your content watched. And admittedly, my stuff is sitting at, that's just for the last 30 days. Hold on. I believe I'm sitting at something like 60,000 minutes. Yeah, 60,000, almost 61,000 minutes for the year, which is not enough to get me YouTube partnered again. Now, the reason for them doing this, it's all speculation at this point. A lot of people have been trying to blame Logan Paul.
Yeah.
But if it was really Logan Paul's fault, then it would be the big people that would be suffering. In reality, the problem, YouTube makes millions and millions of dollars off of the top 5 YouTube channels. Everybody else is just kind of irrelevant to them.
Yeah.
Even larger channels sitting at just 1 million don't make the money that makes YouTube care.
Yeah.
My understanding is you need at least 100,000 subscribers just to get on the phone with YouTube and ask questions. So small-time content creators like myself and like a lot of my friends are running into the issue where our content is no longer monetizable. We were grandfathered in. We have been partnered for, in my case, 3-4 years. Now suddenly this trickle of income that we've had, where it's $3, $4, $5 a month, which adds up over time, is no longer there.
Yeah.
And we haven't, a lot of us haven't received our first paycheck from Google because AdSense won't pay out until you get $100. So, I'm sitting at $80 right now in my AdSense account that I can't touch and probably won't be able to touch because the YouTube has decided no. So it really, really sucks for small-time content creators who no longer have a monetizable channel. They no longer have a way to even promote things like Patreon. One of the things that YouTube is doing, I've actually got the email up right now. It says that if you are no longer eligible for the monetize the monetize the combat. Basically, it says that if you don't have the YPP, you don't get all of the access to the stuff in the content or in the Creator Studio. Now, in the Creator Studio is end cards, is the monetization tab.
Yeah.
So you can still have end cards where it's like, check out this video and check out this playlist, and don't forget to subscribe. But you can't have one that says, here's my Patreon.
Yeah.
Go ahead and support my Patreon. That's at the end of all my videos. It's most recent thing that I've done, thing that, according to YouTube, is most interesting to you. Subscribe to me, Patreon.
Yeah.
And while I don't get many people on Patreon, it's still nice to have that there so that if people care enough to go and support you there, it's right there in front of them,
Yeah,
instead of having to dig through the links in the description box.
It's a small requirement from somebody who puts in so much time and money. I mean, I wonder if this is going to be the catalyst for somebody else to make like another YouTube, like another place where people can just make videos and get paid what they. I don't know why there isn't somebody who kind of takes up the slack and goes, okay, well, maybe all these people, all these millions of people that make incredible content, just take all their content off YouTube, put it, and we'll start another place that pays everybody fairly, the equivalent of like Spotify for audio, and
Right.
and just runs with it. But it's such an incredibly expensive. Like YouTube must have made a loss for years and years and years at the start, building that infrastructure in place.
I mean, once you get bought by Google, you never lose money again. That's the nice thing about being Google. Really, what I see happening, there's some cryptocurrencies out there right now that are like, I think the one is called Brave and the other one's like Basic Attention Token, where using this browser, it looks at what you look at and it will give the ad revenue, if you will, to these people directly,
Yeah.
so YouTube doesn't get their cut. I see that becoming more of a thing. I see ad blocker being downloaded a lot more on February 20th when these changes take effect.
Yeah.
It's just people are going to revolt against YouTube's unjust their new decisions, their new TOS. I also see sites like Twitch becoming more popular.
Yeah.
Not that they aren't popular already, but Twitch saying, hey, all that content that you were putting up there on YouTube,
Bring it
bring it over here and people can subscribe to you and they'll get notifications.
Yeah.
I think I have access. Let me actually double check that. I want to say I do have access to the upload beta on Twitch, which is just, you can upload pre-made videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like I do. I might start doing that then.
So, do you think this is in answer to things like Patreon, Drip, Twitch? Do you think all of this is like a tightening of the belt? Maybe they're like, shit, you know, people are taking their stuff away from us and actually being monetized elsewhere. And like, also, if you're YouTube, do you think, fuck you guys, you know, you're advertising for Patreon at the end of our YouTube videos?
I think that what it is more is it's just YouTube. They've been in the media a lot lately, negatively, especially with things like Logan Paul, like content being targeted towards kids, these animations that were showing kids just really bizarre stuff. Like if you've ever seen, not even just llamas with hats, but like stuff even a little bit more intense than llamas with hats from a psychological standpoint. There was stuff like that that's being targeted towards kids with the YouTube tags, and YouTube wasn't flagging it necessarily. So it's kind of one of those, well, you know, you're fighting with your siblings over who gets to play with Stretch Armstrong, and he's like halfway across the room at this point, and mom goes, if you two can't get along and play with it together, then neither one of you gets it. So that's just kind of what YouTube has done here. If you can't create wholesome content for kids and adults alike, then nobody gets content.
Yeah.
Nobody gets paid for content.
Seems like a really short-sighted answer, because it's people like yourself that like you said aren't able to quite get to that threshold, that spend loads of their own money and time making stuff, which you know, if you think about like the admittedly these million subscriber people, they're like, yeah, they are, but they're the sort of the oddity, aren't they? It's more, there's millions of people doing stuff that just brings in a little bit, and that is really probably a big market of YouTube. It seems to me like they need to support those people. I think, I don't know.
Yeah, YouTube doesn't wait to take their cut. Like that $80 that I have, they have already taken their probably $200 that I've made them as I was making it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's money that they don't have to pay immediately, but they get money off of it right away.
Yeah.
It makes no sense for them to do this, in my personal opinion.
No.
I obviously am I'm
Biased towards
very
it.
one-sided on this. Like, I want to be able to make a little bit of money on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
it's
not.
just
It's not loads, is it? But it's an incentive to do it, isn't
it
it?
is an incentive. I used Twitter for the first time in for freaking ever. And I was getting in the hashtag YouTube partnership program uh, thread, and I was like, "Look, I started YouTube when I was like still in high school. I got partnered, and it was a cool way for me to watch my channel grow, not only in just a a very arbitrary number of, 80 people are watching your stuff. This video has been viewed for a total of 800 minutes. And, you have 6 comments. It was nice to watch it grow in dollars and cents. It was
Yeah.
really nice to see this video has made you 2 cents in the first day. Wow, that's crazy. 2 cents. Man, in like a week I'll be able to buy a gumball. Like it's really cool. And then you upload another video and you realize 2 weeks later you're like, shoot, I can buy a Big Mac now. Oh, this is something.
Yeah.
And it's just it was a good way to kind of keep an eye on my progress. And now new content creators don't have that.
No.
It's just really, it's saddening that that's where we are now.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I feel like this is something that happens to every good. I mean, we've never seen something like YouTube before, but like this is kind of like a historic kind of thing that happens in the sense that like people do all the work and then somebody gets all the money for all the work that everyone else does, and then they shut out all the people that they used to get there in the first place.
I mean, that's what's the comic where the guy comes out of the factory, hands the boss this thing, says, "I made this," hands it to him. Boss is like standing there looking at, "You made this." 2 frames later, "I made this."
Yeah.
Like, it's just, if you give them enough time, they're going to realize that, oh, but maybe I don't need the other people. It's like, no, of course, then we just get into the ethical consumption under capitalism, and that's a whole other set of memes and and philosophical ideas and economical ideas.
if we're to think about this in a positive manner, like the Patreon thing, in which they basically they tried to change their terms of services, and everybody just went, no, actually not.
Yep, and they reversed it right away.
Yeah,
They even sent out. I got an apology email saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
we're really sorry that we effed this one up."
Yeah.
It's like, it really wasn't affecting me because you're taking like 15 cents out of my dollar that I make. So like, I haven't even seen any of it yet. Doesn't really matter to me, but thank you for taking responsibility for this.
Yeah.
It makes me want to stick with the platform longer.
Yeah, because that could have, I think that did damage for them, but I think that it was all, that's the way to do it, is like go, yeah, we fucked up.
Well, what's worse is it didn't just do damage to Patreon, is it did damage to the content creators, because a lot of people said, well, if so much of my money is lining Patreon's pocket, I don't want to do this. And so they pulled their pledge and they started asking their people that they're backing, like, how can I get this money to you more directly? Do you have a PayPal that I can send this to you? And everybody's like, no, that would be a nightmare for taxes. I need you to just go back on Patreon. This is the agreement that I have made with Patreon. Like, I'm just rolling with it. And then Patreon went back, and some people are still too jaded to go back and, re-pledge, which is sad, but it's the way that the world is.
You can see why, because people are very people get burnt and they just go, no, I'm not doing that again. It's a site that is based on trust and feeling of fairness, and I don't know. I give money, I give money to various things, weird things, and jury and Night Attack, but it does make you think, doesn't it? I'd rather just give them the money and just get the stuff.
Right.
But yeah,
I would rather personally fund their goblin hunting expedition for weird things. We got to send Bryce to Africa to find one of these goblins.
or like Monkey Island or something.
Yeah. Oh man, I want to send Brian to Snake Island. So there's an island in Lake Erie that is just inhabited almost entirely by snakes.
Wow.
I really want to send them there. They're not venomous. They're northern water snakes. I've been bitten by them. 36 times. They just kind of hurt a little bit because they're actually biting you.
Yeah.
I want to see Brian on that island, just kind of like, oh.
With his little salt gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Stay back.
I saw
I'm the modern rogue.
Yeah.
That or God forbid he would pull the "Do you know who I am" card.
Absolutely. Do you? I saw a video, and I'm sure it was about Snake Island, and it was about having somebody get a job there and to be like, I'm sure this is right, but like there was a job on Snake Island, and you could just be the like, I don't know, whoever's in charge of. This is not something I'm going to look for, but yeah, check that out. Jobs on Snake Island.
Yeah, there's actually research teams from the University of Toledo actually go out there and they capture a lot of snakes and they put chips in them and they just measure the population, see how various things are affecting them, including the climate change and whatnot.
Oh, Snake Island's like my worst nightmare.
Poisonous Snake Island would be bad.
Poisonous Snake Island would be pretty shit.
It's that extra oomph there.
Zombie poisonous Snake Island.
Right now we're just making it even worse. Yeah, jumping to it. It's like, oh no.
Flying.
Bad enough when they're just biting your ankles. Now they're biting at your nips. Like, eek. So I imagine that's about as high as a snake could jump.
Yeah. Snakes can jump quite. Snakes have got a good jump on them. If you see like a tree snake, they like jump. They glide through the. They seriously go for it.
Scary.
Yeah, it's
really scary.
That is frightening. That would be a kind of hell. So what do you see the changes for your, like if for example YouTube don't sort this out and don't relinquish, what do you see the future of your channel? What do you imagine is the next step for you? Are you just going to keep going, or are you going to try and push to get this partnership again, or?
I'm going to continue to push. Like, they've just moved the goal line again. Like, it's unfortunate that they've done that, but all I really can do is keep creating good content. Yeah. What qualifies as good content, I think, is going to change. Yeah. I'm just going to have to push things like Patreon more. They can't necessarily control what I say, but they can control what I post in there. So if I just remind people, hey, the Patreon at the end of every video, I'm going to feel really annoying, but it's going to, maybe if I ask that dude that looks like Jesus to say, hey, make sure you support this guy's Patreon, maybe they'll do better. We'll give it a go. We're just experimenting with new things. But I think that just the kind of content that I make is going to change a little bit. Yeah. The frequency with which I make the content. Because it's never been about making money for me. No. That was just a really nice way to measure how I was doing. Yeah. It's always been about being able to go to an event and somebody say, so where are you staying tonight, Vlad? It's like, oh, I was thinking about just heading straight home, pounding a few 5-hour energies. Oh, no, you're not doing that. Come on, we're going to buy you dinner. You're going to sleep on our spare bed or our spare couch. Yeah. Come on, it'll be a good time. Like, I don't have to buy beer when I go to HBZ events because everybody's trying to buy me beer. Yeah. It's a kind of nice notoriety, isn't it? It is. I don't want to be famous. I just want to be known. And at this point, I kind of am. I'm at that sweet spot where I can still blend in. Nobody really knows who I am, but they've heard of me, and then they see what I'm doing. They're like, oh, the stories make sense now. Yeah. We, our band is, we're a very small band, but it's a strange feeling being recognised. It's a strange feeling having somebody come up to you and go, oh my God, it's you. Or like, I don't know, it's nice. It's a real nice, like, little rub on the back, little, I can see why it's I
don't know. I can see why people get caught up in the excitement of it. It's and also when it goes away, I'd imagine it's going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
like I'm always excited when my mum says to me, "Oh, we were somewhere and someone was saying about your band," and I just, it's like, that's a really, like, I live in a small place. Cornwall is tiny, and we play a lot of Cornwall, so there's only about, I don't know, 10 bands that kind of just do the rounds, so it's easy to kind of build a little thing. But yeah, it is nice. It is a nice feeling. So how do you think your content is going to change? What things do you think will work best? And also, what do you do? What is your sort of ratio at the minute? What do you put out?
So right now, I go through spurts where I have a lot of things to review. Like just the other day, I got this huge promo box with a bunch of new 2018 winter toys from Primetime. They sent me. I'm actually really excited to test this out. This is a face mask with interchangeable mouth plates, so
Nice.
you can be on Team Red, Team Blue, or I feel like they added this one just for me, Team Green. Green is my absolute favorite color for various reasons, and they have Team Green. I can be my team, guys.
Excellent.
It's that good. But like last night, I filmed 3 review videos. I'm gonna have those videos edited by probably Friday,
Yeah.
maybe Saturday. And then I've still got a bunch of war footage from when I went down to Cincy. And a basic goal is try to beat everybody else to review videos. Now, there's a couple of people with review videos out already, none of them with more notoriety than I have.
Yeah.
So I'll still be in a good spot for, oh, so this is just coming out, let me take a look at it. Oh, well, this guy's got the best video on it. But then I can sprinkle the war footage in there too. My war footage tends to do really, really well. Looking at my top 10 videos, we've got an HVZ video, which has been viewed for 10,000 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we've got a couple of other HVZ videos and war videos. Like the 5 out of my top 10 are war videos.
And for people that don't know, HVZ is Humans versus Zombies, and it's
Yes.
Just describe what that is to people, because in brief description.
If you've ever played like Blob Tag or just Tag,
Yeah.
it's Tag where humans get to defend themselves with Nerf blasters, sock balls, etc., and zombies just have infinite lives and just have to use dead corners, get the drop on people and just you kill them. Like exactly. Although it's what's the not Brad Pitt movie? The zombie movie with
World War Z or
World War Z, yeah.
that is Brad
World War
Pitt.
Z zombies really fast.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
not
yeah.
not Romero. I can't remember
not Romero zombies.
No.
That would be because that'd require headshots and people don't always wear eye protection, and I think those people are idiots, but
that is really stupid.
semantics. I wear eye pro when I'm a human too, because stray shots happen and I'm not about to lose one of my eyeballs.
No,
Like,
no, it'd be mad, absolutely mad. Do you sorry, we were talking. How do we get away from that? I got lost into how we got away from where we were.
yeah. No, I try to make the content not feel like it's the same upload every week,
Yeah.
or 2 days during the week. Try to make sure things are different. Typically, the order will go review, mod guide, and then war footage.
Yeah.
Hopefully, war footage using that thing, or I'll put war footage. Say I use the one thing, it's called the titanium. I used the titanium for like one round at a war, and I didn't really get a whole lot of good footage. I'll just put that at the end of the video. Like, so if you like this blaster right now, wait until you see it in action, and then cut to using it in the war. Usually just some really jumpy cuts from like action to action to action where I'm hitting people, and then so guys, that's the titanium. Hope you enjoyed it. I think this thing is worth it at the $20 price point. You get this, and this. this is an absolute, dead ringer. You should definitely pick this up if you're looking for this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to support the Patreon and have a great day.
Yeah.
And cue credits. I have it down to a science, but now we might have to change the science a little bit.
Yeah. So how often were you doing videos? Was it like how much of your week is spent creating content, and then how much of that is then turned into content?
It depends on how far ahead I want to get. I just started a new job, so more of my time is being spent on my job. But now that means I'm going to have more money so that I can do easier content.
Yeah.
Where I buy a thing, I buy a kit, I don't have to have free stuff sent to me. I say that. I don't have to have companies decide that they want me to promote their stuff and review their stuff.
Yeah.
I can buy stuff that I'm interested in. I've run into that a few times.
Do you find, is there like a sort of understanding that if you get sent something that they're looking, I mean, do you have to give them a favourable review, or would you be?
I don't.
No.
I find it. I like it when people say, "Hey, this video is sponsored by these people.
Yeah.
This is some stuff that they sent me. These are some merits of it."
Yeah.
Now, when I go to do a review, I'm not being sponsored. I was just given stuff, so I sit it down like, "This is what it is at its price point. This is what it'll do.
Yeah.
It has these good things about it, and also has these couple bad things about it. You make your decision now. I think that this is a good deal. I would buy this in a heartbeat, or
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy this because I have no use for it, or it doesn't do what it's supposed to do to the extent that it's supposed to." And that's just how it goes. That's constructive feedback for companies if they then fix their problem and then say,
Send it again. Yeah.
send it again, say, "Hey, we fixed it. Check this out." And I look at it, I'm like, "Yeah, they fixed it. I'll make a new video. Hey, the version 2.0 of the Select Fire Kit is no longer catching on fire."
Yeah.
Definitely worth, if you're looking for this effect, definitely worth picking this up, even though it is kind of pricey. It really takes your blaster from, just to the next level. That was a thing that has happened in the past. People were having Select Fire Kits just burst into flames, and then they fixed it.
Do you have you found people to be unfavourable after you've given them a bad review, or are they just happy to have somebody like give them some honest feedback?
It depends on the size of the company and the professionalism of the company, and also the language barrier. Dealing with a company out of Singapore was a freaking nightmare because I don't speak Mandarin Chinese.
Yeah.
And they barely speak English. So that was really fun, playing like detective, figuring out what they meant. But usually I will give a company, like when I do all my videos, I'll have them all edited, I'll have them uploaded and scheduled to post, and I'll send the company an email saying, "Hey, I want you to have this information before the public has it. Here are the links to the videos. Here is when they will go live. These are my thoughts on this," and give them a paragraph about the thing that they sent me.
Yeah.
And I've not had a company that wasn't very appreciative of my feedback, and I've had a few times where companies are asking for clarification, like, "So how can this be better? Like, what would you personally do to this to make it better? What would be a better design?" And that's when the marketing consultant comes in, and that's where some of the paycheck comes from.
Yeah, I was going to say, you should be charging for this information, because this is a job to them, isn't it? This is a job to somebody.
It is. I am a very cheap consultant for them.
Yeah,
now that I still freelance for Aether Consulting, but I more so just work independently because Aether is changing. As with most things, Aether is changing. Their business model is changing. I helped found that place, and now we have it set up now that one man can do it all.
Right.
So it's nice that my brother now gets to do that. It's not so nice that I don't get that little trickle income from that anymore, but I help him out with stuff from time to time, and he buys me nice bourbon, so it works.
It's a fair trade.
It is a pretty fair trade.
So, when you're doing your modding, what kind of equipment do you use to do that? And what big? Like you've given me a good question about what bigger stuff do you use for the more interesting projects?
So the more interesting projects would most likely include things like I'm 3D printing this huge cosmetic kit for it, or I'm 3D printing this new prototype cage that is being worked on that has higher tolerances than the previous versions, or I'm cutting shells in half and epoxying them together and making them just look like some crazy blaster. I'll actually pull up a picture for you. There is an old mod that everybody used to do, and I'm glad that it's gone away, called the Straven. It's I'll send this link to you real quick via
Do it for Facebook.
chat. Facebook? All right,
Yeah.
I'll pull it up on Facebook. It's once you paint it and get all the colors, like the same, it's just a beast of a blaster. It's very ergonomic, and it just takes a long time to make these. They're cool,
Yeah.
and people love them. So doing something like that, you need things like scroll saws, because God forbid you use a hand saw, or like a bandsaw would also work, but it'd be a pain. And then also just some 3D printed pieces to complete the aesthetic of that. I'm mostly using laser engravers for custom nameplates. I'm mostly using vinyl for decals and logos. I'm mostly using 3D printers for parts and such.
Yeah.
Eventually, I would like to be using a CNC router to make custom bodies. I could make a Straven out of like cherry wood and then stain it, finish it. It would be a one-of-a-kind piece that would probably sell for a few $1,000s.
Wow.
Easy. It is a long-term goal of mine to do something like that.
That'd be awesome.
It really would. Like, nobody else has even come close to doing this.
Is there any rules about reselling modded Nerf guns? Do they? I bet they've got some somewhere. I bet there's like
Probably somewhere, but at the same time, it's the way that I've always kind of read their Hasbro's warnings and such. It's, well, I bought this thing. It is mine. It is no longer your property. I'm not renting it from you.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I want with this thing and try to stop me.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm selling this to somebody for like $80, and it's no longer a Nerf blaster factory. It's a custom piece that was made. It's a prop, if you will, and I can sell it.
Yeah. I'd imagine you could almost probably you could probably take the design and probably make your own thing using entirely custom parts.
You could.
Without even needing to use any of the Nerf stuff, really.
Right. At a certain point, it's just changing enough of the design, mostly probably for machining reasons, but then it's also enough that you're not infringing on copyrights.
Yeah.
Especially if you do something that's already an integration, like a Straven, that's already something that Nerf has no intellectual property rights to. So you just go ahead and make that. They can't touch you because they don't own it. They own pieces of it, but they don't own it.
Yeah.
So, and plus, you're such a small-time thing that Hasbro's got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
Hasbro's actual companies to worry about.
It's an interesting thought, isn't it? I mean, like, I suspect you could probably make some incredibly bespoke and interesting things for a high markup. Yeah, it could make you a ton of money, couldn't it, really?
Really could. I apologize for the dog in the background.
It's all good. It's good.
This dog thinks it's people and apparently demands bacon right now because Grandpa's making eggs and bacon. He's the smartest little dog I've ever met.
Yeah.
He's such a smart ass.
So on your for your wars and other stuff, have you done much traveling? Have you been far afield, and
So I've flown down to Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth area.
Yeah.
And participated in the world's largest Nerf war.
Wow.
That was as far west as I went to Missouri, Springfield, Missouri. That was also pretty far west. And then we travel south a fair bit for wars. I've gone down to Georgia for wars. trying to think. I went to New Jersey for a war as well. That was people in America, in especially on the East Coast, will know the Pennsylvania Turnpike is expensive, and it gets more and more expensive by the year.
Right.
It cost us $40 to travel the entirety of it one
Wow.
way.
Jesus.
That was a nightmare. Luckily, we took a Honda Civic, so we spent like $16 on gas total. Like, we got there with no issues, but it was just so expensive.
That's
Uh,
ridiculously expensive, isn't it?
Spend quite a bit of money on travel, admittedly.
Do you?
So it's nice when somebody's like, just crash on my couch. I'll even feed you dinner. I'm like, I love spaghetti and mac and cheese and hot dogs. Like, this is the best time ever. You've got beer too? No way.
Do you ever get like sponsored by any of the? I don't really understand how it works, but is it like is it a professional level or is it more?
It's not quite professional level.
No.
Like, at this point, the best that will happen to me is like when I went to Dallas, I had to get down there, but then I was put up in a hotel. I was taken out to dinner. Like, I was given the royal treatment. I just had to get there first.
Yeah.
So after that, after I got there, I was golden.
Yeah.
And they even like picked me up and dropped me off from the air, or picked me up and dropped me off at the airport.
Lovely.
Like, they treated me very well. Just said, if you can get down here, we'll treat you well. Which
That's all right. That's not too bad, is it?
shoot, I'll spend $200 on a Spirit Airlines ticket to get down to Dallas to be treated like a king.
Yeah, it is nice when people roll out the red carpet. It's a nice experience for sure. We get like it's like a couple of gigs a year that are just like exactly like that. You just come in like a king, and it's just it's a weirdness that I love.
It's weird because we don't get it often, and we
Yeah.
want to cherish it while it happens.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, if it happened more often, we'd be like, "Shit, can somebody just treat me like a person? Like, I got this round, guys. Like,
Yeah, I'm a
shit, we'll
human
get some
being."
Irish car bombs. Next round of Jack and Coke is on me, guys. It's all right.
I'm surprised how much I feel like being treated like a king involves just good food, just being fed like some food. That's like
Yes.
I've got quite a low bar for being treated like a king. Treat me like a
I,
king. Free
I had
sandwiches.
Tex-Mex in Texas, and that was some next level stuff. I ate more in one meal, and when I say meal, I mean like it took us 3.5 hours to eat. Like, we were dining. I ate more in that one meal than I did, I think, the entire week previous.
Yeah.
Just because it was so good, and I wanted to try everything, and just my mouth is watering thinking about the brisket. Like, oh my gosh.
That sounds good. A few questions revolving around like new people starting and like, sort of finding out about modding. Is there anything? I mean, obviously your channel kind of touches on it, and I suppose it's just a case of kind of just looking around for these like tutorial videos. But is there anyone, if someone was interested in starting and getting involved in kind of doing what you do, what would be the easiest way? Is there like a kind of gun or something that you can go, this is quite a good beginner one. It's quite simple. You're gonna get this bit of thing and put it in, and then that can give you the experience of completing a gun and kind of moving forwards with some success under your belt.
Depending on what area of Nerf modding you would like to get into,
Right.
if you want to get into electronic modding, I would say a Strife is the way to go, because it is as simple as it gets. You
Right.
have a battery, you have switch that turns on motors that spin flywheels, and
Yeah.
then you just connect that back to your battery.
Is that
It's so hard to F that up.
Is that the gun on the video you were using? The one that goes like. Wzzz, brrr?
Yep.
Is that
Yep,
gun?
that's the flywheels. That also has the select fire kit in it, so it's got a little bit more going on.
Yeah.
But the Strife stock has a very simple pusher mechanism. You pull the trigger, it activates a lever, and it pushes a peg out that pushes the dart into the flywheels, and it retracts.
Right.
It's so mechanical, so simple. Now, if you're looking to just try your hand at modding for as little money as possible,
Yeah.
you can go to Goodwill's, thrift stores, and find what's called a night finder. It's a single, like, you pull it back, it clicks, you put the dart in the front end, you pull the trigger, it shoots like
Yeah.
10 feet. Now you buy a bigger spring for both the mainspring and the catch spring. Chop off the barrel, glue a 1/2 inch CPVC coupler in there, cut off a section of CPVC about 3 to 4 inches long, ram a dart in there, and you'll get 80-ish feet out of it. It then becomes a very formidable sidearm for just like the last minute pop that you need. It's one of the simplest blasters to do. There's God knows how many YouTube videos on it. And if you're looking for like written resources, Nerf Haven, Nerf Revolution, those are two blogs. Well, Nerf Revolution was a blog, Nerf Haven was a forum. Great resources there. They're both kind of dead, but there's archived posts that are very, very useful, especially if you want to kind of start from basics, if you will, and just like, okay, so this is the first mods that we were doing. Now we're getting to the more intermediate. All right, now that's where we are today with the Rapid Strike, which has the most terrifying wiring schematic I've ever seen. It's easier to step yourself up than just go balls to the wall and say, I'm going to do a Rapid Strike that does this, this, and this, and not know anything about it.
Yeah, I think for most people, that that little win is invaluable, isn't it? Just like do something that you're gonna succeed in. Build your confidence.
It really is.
Yeah. And
it's also about how little money you spend on that once you see it's also affordable.
Yeah. Like
a Rapid Strike, to do it right, costs anywhere between $100 and $120.
Wow, okay.
After it's all said and done.
Yeah.
A Night Finder, to do it right, cost you, at least for me, it cost in springs and PVC less than $10.
Yeah.
And it's only so high because you need to buy like a 10-foot section of CPVC because that's all that they sell it in. But look at that, 10 feet divided by 3-4 inches, you got yourself a shit ton of barrels, and you just swap those barrels out. You can run with just a metric fuck ton of barrels on you. Click, new barrel, boom. Throw that one out, click, new barrel, boom. Like, you can just run like that, and people have done that very effectively.
Yeah, that's pretty
cool. They call
that
a speed loader. It's a great system.
And so, we talked about this before, and I still think it's quite interesting. How do people get into the sort of the war scene? And is there any other than HVZ? Is there other types? Because I assume the video you showed me, that's not that. That's just like
that's what we call super stock. Super stock is anything that isn't NIC.
Yeah.
Super stock also is kind of synonymous with Sambo, stock ammunition modified blasters only.
Right.
That is the most common thing that you're going to find. If somebody says we're having a Nerf war, most likely that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
NIC is the more heavy duty stuff, the home built stuff that's getting 250 feet per second plus.
Yeah.
I've got one that shoots at like 580, and it's not allowed at wars because it breaks skin. It's not allowed.
Too powerful.
Yeah, far too powerful. I could put a battery through a car door with it. It's really quite scary. But Sambo is more likely what you're going to find. Most colleges have an HVZ organization, or they'll have like a Nerf organization.
Yeah. And
they'll host wars. Most major cities have clubs, such as Cincy. They have Kane, Cincinnati Area Nerf Enthusiasts. Atlanta has the SCNC, Southeast Nerf Club, and then Toledo has Recon, Reynolds Corner Nerf Club, which should possibly be renamed because we no longer play on Reynolds Corner. It's the name of a street where we had a church that we played in. Those are some interesting videos. The footage is in like 720, so it doesn't look so great, but it's still really cool to see like how we use the corridors and the various rooms of this like church/preschool.
Yeah.
And managed to avoid the worship rooms and not like get darts stuck to the altar. That was really fun. There was one time we sure did get a dart stuck on the light right above the altar, and it came down during mass, and it was really funny.
It's really cool. People will let you come and do this in interesting buildings, because I'd imagine that is the fun, isn't it? Being somewhere.
Yeah, rolling up in Cincinnati, me being in Cincinnati for no more than like 2 hours during my entire life, let alone this trip where I've been there for about 15 minutes. We roll up, to the spot, and we were just given this hand-drawn map of, this is where we park. It looks sketchy, don't worry. And I roll up, and we're weaving between, like, just trashed semi-trucks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, we're gonna get murdered. We're gonna get mugged. Like, this is a bad looking place, because we got there a little bit early. So I text the guy that was running this. I'm like, does it look like I'm about to be like cornholed and mugged? Like, this looks pretty sketchy, dude. And he's like, it looks sketchy. That's just Cincinnati. Don't worry about it. You're totally in the right spot.
Yeah, it's not as if you're not loaded with guns, though, is it?
Yeah, like, it's not like these can actually hurt people. Sure don't, right? They sound kind of scary. I mean, I did have one that probably could have, like, dented somebody's car and it would have given them a fright, but it wouldn't have protected me.
No.
Like,
No. It's interesting, though, isn't it? I wonder if there's anything like this in the UK. I suspect there is. I bet there is. My friend's got a great woods. He owns, like, his family own this woods, and, like, we used to go down and do laser tag, and he had, like, 8 sets of laser tag. He had enough so you could wear, like, a front one. You could wear one of them as a front one and one of them as a backwards one. So you could just have these, like,
jeez.
Yeah, it was good. It
Must
was
have had some money.
well, no,
Jeez.
they were they weren't really expensive ones, but they.
Okay.
I think what happened was he ordered them, and then one of them was broken, and then he said it's broken. He sent it back, but I think he only sent back like one of the bits, and they didn't ask for the rest of it back. So he ended up with like
They sent him a whole new set.
yeah, I think so. So he ended up with
That's awesome.
I think he ended up with like 8. I think he ended up with enough so that 3 of us could do front and back, and then maybe 7 or 8 sets. So yeah, they weren't loads and loads of money. It wasn't like massive expensive ones, but it was definitely enough that they're pretty cool. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was good. His woods is great for that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I know that there's some. There's a couple of channels. They're like UK Foam. They want to say he has a war by him that might be rather close. Let me double check this. We just throw UK Foam. He's still in university apparently. I'm trying to find out where he lives. Don't think he says. But then again, the UK is small enough that it shouldn't take too long to get anywhere.
No.
I drove 12 hours to get to Missouri to play Nerf. Like 3 hours on a train is no big deal.
See, for me, I've got such a UK feel about things, because if I have to travel 6 hours anywhere, I feel like that's a big. I feel like I've travelled all day. That's like a big thing for me. I'm not. If I've travelled, we did like to London and back, which was, I don't know, 400 miles there, 400 miles back. That's nothing. In America, that's like a. You piss. You like.
Right.
Said, it's not. You just travel. That's like
6 hours for me is I was just going to my vacation home in the mountains.
Yeah.
Like that was nothing.
We've got a
I
very
did
different
that
idea of
every
travel.
other weekend during the summer. Like
Yeah.
it looks like there's a war in Bristol.
Okay, that's about 2 hours away from me.
How far is... Oh, shoot. Where was Terminal Infection? Terminal Infection is one that I'm going to next year. It's in Scotland.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, it's... They took an entire, like, shopping mall
Yeah.
and had a zombie war in there.
Wow.
It was really cool.
That's awesome.
I was told, hey, if you can fly out here, you're crashing with me because I really want to have you out here. So I'm going to be going to Scotland, and that's going to
Awesome.
be fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Oh, that'd be really cool. Yeah. Yeah. I'd. Do you get to? Are you able to bring your stuff with you, all your guns and stuff, or will you borrow some
It's
out there?
probably going to be easiest to just buy something there.
Yeah.
Admittedly,
You couldn't.
I'd have to double check my
You
buddy.
couldn't mail it to yourself or mail it to your friend.
No. Honestly, I might end up like just having a checked bag. Like I can't take lipos with me, so that means I'd only be using like some springers, which is fine. I've got plenty of springers that are plenty powerful and plenty good for what I want to do. Unless it is possible to fly with lipos, it's just a whole lot of nonsense. So one
what
of
are
us would
lipos?
probably fly with lipos. Lithium polymer batteries.
Right. Okay.
They're just
yeah.
like what you use for RC cars and airplanes.
Yeah.
They used to use NiCads. Now we use lipos because they're so much more efficient.
Yeah.
Fundamentally the same thing as what Teslas run on.
Oh, okay, right.
Just much, much smaller.
Yeah, micro ones.
They don't weigh as much as the Teslas. But ideally, what's probably going to end up happening is one of us uses our bag to send lipos. We don't send them separately, and then just check our blasters. It's surprising. In America, you can fly with a gun.
Yeah.
You just have to have it in a checked bag. You can't have it in your carry-on. But my buddy sure did fly up here with a checked bag and had a Desert Eagle, a 50 caliber A&E Desert Eagle, and a shit ton of ammunition for it. And we sure did just shoot for like 3 days straight. We were shooting a couple magazines a day, just having a grand old time.
America, you're a crazy country. We will never understand you in the UK. But we love it. I love it. It's brilliant. Why not?
It's kind of like having a crazy cousin or crazy uncle.
Yeah.
But somehow we all live in the same apartment complex, and grandma lives above the meth house, the meth lab, and she's just kind of making cookies for everybody. Canada, we love you. And then like the gangbangers or the mob lives beneath you, and they're kind of going around for collection money or whatever. Like, it's kind of a weird place to be in, admittedly.
I find America and Canada and Mexico amazing because it's like, it's humongous amount of space that I can't even grasp the distances. And also, I love how, you can be bordered with somewhere like Canada and be so different. So different. It's amazing, isn't it?
I love spending time in Windsor, because I go up to the Caesar's Palace up there, and man, it's so nice to just be able to walk into somewhere and order poutine. So one night after a Nerf War, we're driving back from London, Ontario, and we wound up in Windsor to cross the border, and we're looking at the palace, and we're like, should we stop? I feel like we should stop. Yeah, let's go to... Wait, you're old enough. We're going in, we're getting a drink, we're going to play some blackjack. You got some money on you, right? It's like, yeah, you got like $10. All right, cool. We'll find a $5 table. We'll have a good old time. So we go in there, but we're trying to find the parking garage, and we're driving by strip clubs, and the one sign was like, patio special, brat, beer and titties for $7. I'm like, either the brat and the beer are the worst in the world, or those titties are really subpar. Like, Wednesdays was half off lap dances, and my buddy's girlfriend was like, I want to go see some titties, they're half off, and he's like, no, this is the night where you see like the C-section scars and stuff. Dude, this is not the night you want to go. God damn. We're just scathing Canada right now. I get in a lot of adventures. Fewer quests, more adventures. Just kind of things happen and I go along with it. It's a good time.
It's the best way to be, isn't it? It's the best way to be, for sure.
It really is.
We're gonna wrap things up, but is there anything that you want to like promote? Obviously, you got your Patreon and your YouTube channel, which I suspect you're probably not fussed about promoting now.
Yeah, I have no quarrels about promoting this anymore. If you want to head over, easiest way to find it is tinyurl.com/sub2Vlad. That's the number 2, or youtube.com/Vlad the Nerf Neko. You can find my videos. There's a bunch of really cool ones. The most recent one, as you were discussing, was the war in Kane in the Cincinnati area. It's a really cool video. It's like 6 minutes long. You get to see me just shoot a bunch of people with a really cool looking blaster. Nice. It's a really cool looking arena. If you really want to help my channel out and get me monetized again, I've got a few playlists. If you click on the mod videos playlist and let that run, even in the background, if it's muted, doesn't matter, it still counts.
Yeah.
That will help get me back up there. And then the war vids is a great, it's entertaining content too, at the very least. So it's worth watching if you want to see how these wars go. It's interesting stuff. If you've never played Nerf and you think it's for kids, I encourage you to watch this stuff and realize, no, this is for people that can respect the rules and aren't afraid to take a dart at 180 feet per second to the face. I got shot. Still editing this video, I got shot in the face with an arrow, with one of these foam arrows, and like it hit me in the forehead GoPro area, so it was just enough to kind of knock me back. And I was like, great, guys, awesome. So that's where you can find me there. Patreon, let me double check the Patreon link just to double check because I would hate to say the wrong thing. Patreon.com/VladTheNerfNeko. You can support me there. I've got some really nice stuff that I put up there. I usually post links to the videos early, and I usually post the thumbnails about 3-4 days early so you can see what's coming. And I also have polls and stuff on there to see what kind of content people are more interested in.
Excellent.
Right now, it's not as valuable information for me because there's all of like 5 patrons, but the more patrons that are there, the better I can cater my content to what people actually want to see.
Yeah.
So
that sounds good. All right, well, thank you very much, Vlad. Thank you for coming back again, and we will no doubt do this again in the future. This has been the Noise Filter Podcast, and we will see you again. Cheerio. Bye, bye,
adios.
bye.